In this video, I'm going to take you on a game dev journey. I'll share a full day of development on our indie game Samurado, as well as give you a glimpse into what a normal day looks like for a couple that splits their time between game dev and YouTube videos. I hope you enjoy. The day started the way it always does, with some nice, strong coffee. And Nikki and I did our normal morning hour together. With really hectic schedules, it can be hard to make time for being together during the day, or even in the evening sometimes, so we never missed this opportunity to connect in the mornings. We took our older one to school, but my younger one had to stay home because she was sick with pink eye, and we were about to get started for the day. But first... Alright, time to get to work. I had a full day to work on the game, except I had one small editing task to take care of first. We were finalizing a sponsored ad. They had approved the script and I had all my filmed material ready to go, so I just needed a little bit of time to record the audio and edit the ad. This worked out perfect because while I was doing that, Nikki was finalizing the art for the enemy that I'll be working on for the rest of the day. So I have been working with the same 3 enemies in the game for a very long time, and I'm so excited because the item on my list right now is new enemies. I made 2 new ones in the last week, and my hope is that by the end of this devlog I will have another one fully polished and implemented into the game. None of the enemies in Samurado are too complex. They actually have a very similar structure to the soldiers from A Link to the Past. They have their idle patrol states, then they see you and they enter a sort of chase state. And these soldiers don't really attack, they kind of just run at you, but Samurado enemies have a separate attack state as well. Some of those are more complex than others. So I'm hoping to have him in there and at least have his idle behavior done by lunch. So, time to get to work. So with the idle, we're about there. It doesn't look like much, but he is pathfinding his way towards the player. So even if we turn a corner or something, he will still be able to navigate his way towards us. Except he's getting stuck on objects in the scene, and I still have a lot of animations to create. Now, I wasn't the only one busy with a full day of dev. My little one has Game Builder Garage on the Switch and built a local co-op shooter over the morning, so I had a lot of fun playing that on my lunch break. Time to get back to work. But first... Alright, you can see he's got this little bouncy walk animation, and he just bursts right through any breakable objects in the scene now, which I think is appropriate since he's twice the size of the player character. I was craving some fresh air and a quick break. There's actually a great little spot right across the street from our house when I need a short break. There's no path, it's just a lot of wild woods, but there's a little stream down there. So me and the little one hiked down there, and we spent a couple of minutes trying to break up some of the ice. Nice. While I was outside having fun, Nikki was hard at work inside. We filmed this devlog on Friday, and those are usually her busiest days because she's editing the video for the following Monday. So the last video you see posted on this channel before this one is the video she's working on in this devlog. I want to thank Zibra AI, the sponsor for this video. Their Smoke and Fire tool is unlike any visual effect tool I've ever used from the Unity Asset Store. This is not a collection of particles. This is a real-time simulation system for Smoke and Fire to create your own dynamic Smoke and Fire visual effects that interact with other objects. With colliders that can wrap around any skinned meshes, you can emit fire and smoke from any object. It reacts to velocity very naturally, so whether you use the animator or one of their built-in force fields, you can create some really incredible effects or game mechanics. I honestly just played around with their components for 10 minutes and had fun with it. It's very easy to set up and start using once you get the basics. It looks really good in engine and had me thinking of all kinds of amazing game mechanics that I could make with it. If this is something that interests you, check the link in our description or the pinned comment below. So in total, I need 12 animations for this guy, and I had most of them done by the time we had to pick up our older one from school. And at this point, we needed to take another break because apparently a storm was coming this weekend and we needed some groceries and a few other things. So we drove into town. And by the time we got back, it was dinner time. And say what you will, but breakfast for dinner is the best dinner, period. Nikki took a break to play Guess Who with our little one, and I was really behind because of our trip into town, so I got to work on the chase and attack state for the enemy. Sometimes I code for too long without testing what I've done, so it was time for a test now. The chase behavior is super simple, he just continues chasing you at a slightly faster pace, but once he's in range, he does a huge jump and goes right off the screen, and actually nothing is broken, I couldn't even believe it. Time to finish it up. Nikki was right behind me working away. She had finished her video and really wanted to do some Samurado work, so she worked on a new room. She makes way prettier levels than I can. And it was about 10:30 by the time we called it a night. I got some feedback from my most avid playtester.
That he has to have more health, Daddy.
And you can see the enemy is functionally working, but there's no sound, there's no particles, and I was a little frustrated because I wanted to stun him after he fell and swap out his eyes with those swirly guys you saw earlier. But I was a little bit lazy and I had built the eyes activating and deactivating right into the animations, and that will override anything that I try to do with code. So my code wasn't working. So I'm extending this to be a day and a Saturday morning in the life devlog video. However, it's hard to be frustrated when in the next room, seeing us work on Samurado all day had inspired my little one to make her own version of Samurado. Clearly I need to speed up because she's really fast.
Uh-oh. It follows me.
The next morning, Nikki had some video chats to do, so she got the office and I got the dining room table. And I decided to start the day with some wins, so I did the easier stuff first. I made some simple particles, and I layered some nice crunchy sound effects for when he lands on the ground. And that made a huge difference. I think that's looking pretty satisfying. And I did save the hardest for last, so I removed anything to do with the eyes from the animation and coded a system to handle that instead. And this was one of those rare development mornings where everything kind of just fell into place. I didn't run into a single issue, everything just worked. Does not happen very often. And you can see the finished enemy here. There will likely be a final level of polish thrown on top closer to the end of development, but for now I'm very happy with this. Now while I worked, my little one was coming to me about every 10 minutes to show me an update with her Samurado. Look at it now. She's got attacks, dashes, sword throws, ninja star throwing, and multiple enemy types, and she got that all done before lunch. By the way, if you're new here and you like the sound of juggling tight but chaotic combat and having to race to the end of each area in order to progress, then go ahead and wishlist Samurado on Steam so you get notified when it launches. And thanks to everyone who's already done so. Now you'll notice that since our last devlog, the game looks really different. Over the last month or so, we put a lot of work into getting Samurado to look as good as possible. We added some lights. We changed our tile set because even though I loved the last one, the black outlines were distracting and made some of the action really hard to see. We bought these assets, which are beautiful hand-painted tile sets, and there's no outline, so it's a lot less distracting and lets you focus more on the combat. And I have to talk about the blood for a second. I put in a ridiculous amount of time changing the blood. Since the very beginning, I've wanted this fun contrast between these cute enemy characters with obscene amounts of gore and blood. I think the old blood just looked meaty and kind of weird, and it really didn't match our art style very well, so I simplified it into just one solid color to make it more cartoony, and I think it matches a lot better now. And I actually added a whole second camera just so I could add a second parallax layer of blood. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the visual changes. I've had some feedback that the stuff on the screen might be a little bit distracting during combat, so I will likely tweak the transparency or possibly even add a setting in the menu to let you control that yourself. But let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this little window into our dev and YouTube life. And I just want to say thank you if you drop a like or a comment, or if you've already wishlisted Samurado on Steam. Thanks for watching. Bye.